Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Hoyin, which is the founder of Hermesi. So Hoyin, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Hey, Harry. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. Super excited, really looking forward to it. Yeah, sure. Let me go through the 5 steps. So, my 5 steps, I'll go through each one. One is find something you are passionate about. It's really important because you got to work hard on something and might as well work hard on something that you want, that you like. Second is, if you want to make your first million, it's all about just making a business. Every single business doesn't need to be a startup or a tech company that needs funding or anything. You can just have a business that makes money, and that money can then start to build your capacity for other things. So you don't need to have funding for anything. You can. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but that there are many, many other options.
I agree 100%.
So just to get started. Third is when you find an industry that you want, research on what everyone else is doing to get the best practices. And one of the things that I do is I will go on LinkedIn and interview all the people, all the people who've worked at other competitor companies, and I interview them. Either they've worked on it before or they work there currently.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them a ton of questions about what they do. And I propose like, hey, is there any opportunity to collaborate on that? And people sometimes are very, very open to share. And you get a lot of great spicy information that you probably wouldn't know otherwise. And that will make you skip a huge step. It's literally a life shortcut. The fourth one is building repeatable systems. You want to build something that's repeatable. It's a system that you don't have to think about and just keeps going and going and going. And then fifth, the final one is increase your at-bats. And increasing your at-bats means that you're iterating faster than anyone else, and that it allows you to learn the quickest. You want to learn as quick as you can, faster than everyone else, then you can move faster than everyone else.
Wow, that's fantastic. Amazing. So Hoyin, tell us how you decide to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
we can
great.
hear you clearly.
So when I first started my first business, I was like selling stuff on Amazon, actually. And the reason why I wanted to create my own business was I wanted to create something. Everyone is sort of like they all talk about like, oh, how do you create something? How do you build something? Are you an artist? Like everyone has their own sort of zen of what they want to do. And I think for me, my zen and my creative outlet was to build and create some kind of business, and have a vision for something, and then try to accomplish that vision. And that vision is a combination of looking what is out on the market, what is something that I'm passionate about, and then creating a brand new vision, like a new iteration or something very different that's existing in the market that should exist. It should definitely exist.
Where do you think that the inspiration comes? Is your family? If your family entrepreneur, do you have any friend that is entrepreneur? Do you read the book? I mean, I know that all us entrepreneurs, we have something within ourselves that we want to do something great, that we want to make it big, that we can do something better, and we're gonna do something great. Yeah, it's already within us, but how? From where you got the inspiration that this is coming as an entrepreneur? It was a book, it was someone in your family, it was a friend, or how did that happen? Because tell us.
Yeah. So I think for me, my core inspiration was really um, some there's some really famous uh business business like entrepreneurs that I really look up to. And back in the day, I really looked up to people like Bill Gates and like Mark Zuckerberg.
Mhm.
Like those guys really created something from something really scalable, something huge from nothing. Jeff Bezos is like another one. So that's one. And the second is that my family does have like my grandfather was like a business person. He started making like basically textiles.
Wow.
And that's where he started. It was basic textiles, it's basically a component that he would sell to companies that would then weave it into clothing. Like he didn't even make the clothing. He just made
Wow.
the ingredient. You know what I mean? One of the ingredients into making clothing. So watching him kind of build that from nothing, also literally from zero to nothing, was like probably one of the most inspirational things that I've ever seen. And and I was when I was very young, I saw him build that.
And so somehow it was kind of role that you saw like he was doing something different than the rest of the family, right?
Yeah, well, he did something different, and then he was able to kind of grow the family business um, and then be able to um, create the um, create just like an amazing experience for himself, but also just inspiration that he created not something from nothing.
Hmm. So, Hoyin, tell us, what was your first business and what made you think that you can make money by running that business?
So my first business was selling we um we first sold magnetic car phone mounts
Wow.
um and we were the first one that made magnetic car phone mounts. It was called iMagnet mount, and we basically found this design and we made it in South Korea, and then we sold it on Amazon, and we were the first one to sell it. It was $25. So it's like a magnet on the top, and then you just put your phone and it just like claps right on there. We were the first one on the market. We sold it for like 5, 6 years at a really high price. And probably the one reason why we were able to sell it for so long at a high price is that we did not manufacture it in China. We
Oh, wow.
manufactured it in South Korea.
Oh, wow.
We
Uh,
paid a little bit more, but it was worth it because it didn't allow any of the copycats to come in so quickly. It took them a
Absolutely.
long
It took
time.
time, yeah.
It took them a long time. And so because of
Wow.
that time, we were able to keep our prices high and then not get the product to get so commoditized so quickly. And eventually it did.
Absolutely, like
Eventually did.
everything. But it took a while, yeah. You have longer life chills, yeah. And hopefully, do you manage to build the brand about the product?
Say that one more time.
Do you manage to build the brand around that product?
We did. We did. We didn't build a brand
Good,
out of the product.
because
It was called iMagnet. And we did branch
I
out to
love the
other
name. The
products and
name
stuff
is
like that.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So we managed to create a brand out of it. We ended up getting really good at selling stuff on Amazon.
How
So
do you
we ended
find
up
this
just
product?
pulling that.
How do you find this product? What made you think that people will pay money for it? Were you actively looking for a product that was unique, that was different, that have big margin, and also in the tech space because you knew that something that because there is a lot of blueprint in the success of the product. Number one, you look for a product that is for a mobile phone. Let's talk about market size. It's huge because everybody have a phone, right? So
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
second
100%.
one, this tiny bit that maybe could be a little bit of luck or that you source the product from South Korea, that give you another competitive advantage that it took longer for because the competitors are always watching. As soon as they see in Amazon that you're selling, um,
Right.
very quickly
Yeah.
people start to develop their own alternative for the pro, but because you did that you have more time to build the brand, yeah. So how
Yeah.
do you have any friend making money in Amazon? You were searching this product. How come this idea came to your head?
So it came to us. The first thing we look at is we look at markets first. We look at product niches first, and then we try to find niches that are like very boring and they haven't been reinvented for a while.
Wow.
And so we look at them, and then the second thing is that we look at niches where um it's the margins are okay. And from there we then go and try to find a product that is incremental. Like, is there anyone that's done something that's really incremental, that's really interesting? And we have to so we search and look at a lot of like there's some places where we can go to that you can look at like new product ideas and new sort of inventions, I guess.
Wow.
Um and then we then look at what the review structure is, meaning like what how many reviews are in that niche? How many reviews do we need to get ranked? What's the volume that they're running? What's the market size? How many competitors there are? What are the major players? And then from there, we try to decide, okay, if we have this new, slightly better product, can we then do a better job in what aspect? So a lot
Wow.
of times they don't do a really good job in reviews, then we beat them in reviews. Sometimes
Wow.
they don't do a really good job in the product itself, then we improve the product itself. So we review all the reviews. We look at the reviews and try to figure out what are like the major complaints. Another way is like you look at a product niche, and that product niche doesn't have any really standout products. Like there's not one that's like really, really highly ranked within that
Wow.
niche. And if there's none that are really not highly ranked, then there's also an opportunity to produce something that's just so much better than everyone else. So just be a lot better and just put yourself in the first position.
Hmm. Let's talk about that because one thing is to find a product and you can make a huge profit, yeah. But completely different ball game is to develop your brand because this brand you actually can sell it, right? You can sell it like a business. You say, look, this is the product that we have. It's in Amazon. This is the brand of the product. So you can literally sell that company. Um, when you guys are looking to these products, are you putting some energy and effort in building brand around this product, or you wait until they win a little bit and put more effort on that? Um,
No, we put energy in the brand right at the beginning.
Very
You
good.
know,
That's
we
amazing.
yeah, we yeah, we had to do it in the beginning because that's the one way to how to differentiate. Because most of the other companies that we would look at in a niche, they don't invest in branding. So we have to differentiate stronger. So we would do a good logo, do a lot more nicer pictures and build like the whole lifestyle brand around it in some cases. And then from there, we could then create something that is more unique, but also at like the right cost. Because, at the end of the day, Amazon is all about cost. So if you want to compete on brand, your product has to provide some additional value for people to pay more. Otherwise, they're just going to go and buy the cheapest thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, and then to build a brand is about to to become the leader in the market, right? Because let's don't forget that Amazon also launched their own products, and they are most of the times they have very good prices, right? So what do you recommend to entrepreneurs out there that having products out there that they want to sell to a price higher than Amazon, therefore they have to build the brand? But this also, um, if you don't know how to do it, it will consume some resources, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you have to spend time doing it. Like we started it a long time ago. And right now it's gotten quite competitive in the Amazon space. So that was just my first company that I started. That's the first company that I started. And I started doing that. And it was just in the Amazon space. Nowadays, it's quite competitive, very, very competitive. So that's how I kind of moved away from Amazon and went into SaaS, went to doing like software. And then from software, then I started to do now going back into like more of like a traditional like um um I wouldn't call it an agency, but like a labor staffing kind of company, which is why I started Hermesi. So I had a journey from like doing hardware to then doing software to now doing sort of like a staffing company that does use underlying technology in order to deliver a much more better service.
Tell us a little bit more about this company.
Yeah, sure. So Hermes, when I went through the pandemic, I had one of my companies grow really, really fast. It went from 6 people to 160 people
Wow.
within 10 months.
Which one was this one?
And Remo, Remo, Remo. And Remo is a virtual events platform. So think of it like Zoom, but it
Ah,
is sort of like
wow.
a Zoom on steroids. And it's
Wow.
like a platform where it's like a graphical, immersive world where people can kind of move around and host like workshops, virtual conferences, career fairs, all these types of virtual spaces to do stuff. So that product grew pretty much really, really fast. And I was overwhelmed. My first son was born during 2020. I missed his first step because I was so busy. And I realized that I needed someone to really help me with my life. And so that's where I brought on an executive assistant. And executive assistants typically are very expensive and they're typically very reserved for like, oh, you're a much more bigger company. So what I've been trying to do is how do I bring executive assistants and chief of staff to that are more accessible to SMBs?
Mhm.
And not only that is we spend an incredible amount of time recruiting the best. So we have 9 personality traits that we've identified, and getting into Hermesi is like harder than getting into Harvard, actually. And then we trained them through boot camp over 30 days. I partnered with somebody that basically used to do training for people that would work at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
Wow.
And then I worked with him to develop our training program that basically delivers the highest quality of service and, and in combination of finding super proactive people and then training them under the Herbesi mindset, you get an EA. And also we teach them like ChatGPT and all these AI tools. You get an EA that's not just like a normal EA, you get a 3x, 4x EA.
Wow. That's
And so that's what we provide. That's what we do.
that's amazing. So in this company now, how many people are you there and what are the future for this company?
So right now we have about 12 people. Um, so the future of the company really is that we want to scale and help entrepreneurs solve like not only their productivity problems, but it's a concept that I call like the modern CEO problem, which is in today's day's age, you've got AI, you got all this stuff going on AI, you've got so much stuff going on social media, you have a lot of noise. Your information diet is extremely important, but very noisy.
Mhm.
So how do you manage your life, your personal life, and your work life, and able to elevate and learn um, as you grow and as the business grows? And
Mhm.
so, in this sort of environment, we want to solve your challenges, whether it's your personal life or your work life, because as you know from the pandemic, your work life and your home life are really together.
Absolutely.
And so how do we basically create an executive support system, which is our remote virtual executive assistants, to help you on both sides so that you're most productive. And
Wow.
that's really the goal is to solving problems for them.
Wow. So at the moment, how you are in the software? Did you guys finish to developing the software?
So we've built so, it is a human being, by the way. It's a
Ah,
human
wow.
person that we bring in, but we've trained them on ChatGPT and all the tools.
How to
So
use the tools.
we're
I understand.
we're building a proprietary software stack that basically is
Amazing.
software for executive assistants. And we're doing that, we're providing that to our own executive assistants only. So, for example, we are actually a travel agency, so we have access to low prices for travel. We have our own proprietary version of ChatGPT, and we have proprietary tools for lead generation. We have proprietary tools to help you create social media for your social media brand. So a lot of it's around like branding, revenue, um, and developing networks, and yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. And then which advice do you have for tech entrepreneurs out there that um, they're putting all the time, energy, and resources in developing the product, and then when they're going to go to market, they find out that nobody's interested in this product. How do you know that this product, first the magnet that you did at the beginning, how do you know that people will buy? And what advice do you have for tech entrepreneurs out there to shift the mindset more in focusing what people want to buy? It's not about what you want to sell, it's about what people want to buy. And
Sure.
how you develop this mindset yourself in the first place.
So a lot of it is like you have to do research on what's working right now, and then you figure out what is uh, the what's the vision of where you think the industry should go, and what is the optimal experience that you want to create for someone. So what is like the most amazing, what's like the better version of what everyone else is doing? That's one approach. The second approach is it goes back to one of my five steps, which is you have to have as many at bats as possible, meaning you need to go out and put the product out there and get as much feedback. And the more times you do that, the more frequently you do that, you will then realize what people are attracted to. And so that iterative process of by iterating faster than everyone else allows you to get to that answer of, hey, this is actually what's resonating. Ultimately, you're trying to create something that's what's resonating with people. But if you put a product out once a year, you're never going to get there. You're just not going to get there.
Yeah.
But if you put the product out there like several times several times a week, you've tweaked it, put it out there, tweaked it, put it out there. You do it several times a week, I guarantee you'll do it. And it's very systematic. And it goes back to my other point, which is you have to build a system. When I say build a system, what I mean is like you don't have to build a complex process. You have to build a system where I put something out and then I go review it. I put something out again, I go review it. Something out again, review. And you do this like clockwork so that you don't miss out and you don't like get lazy about it. It's all about like not getting lazy and then stopping. Because once you stop, your ability to learn then slows down and you don't want to do that. And that's what the system is for.
I agree with you 100%. The more you put your product out there and the more you try the feedback for the client, the faster you can improve it. And now let's talk about productivity tools, yeah, and AI. We have that's why I like that you said that you guys have a proprietary stack of softwares, because a lot of people are talking about AI, but there is something about AI, right? AI had to learn from something. So if the source of the information is incorrect, yeah, then you're gonna uh, receive information that is incorrect because the thing is not learning from the right source. However, if you find the right software that you guys verify that have the right information in the back and the tool is learning properly all the time, then it's going to be a powerful tool that actually will help the executives out there. And let's talk about the productivity and about AI, because a lot of people think about AI, but let's face it,
Yeah, sure.
do you remember how long a letter used to take to write? Because
Yeah.
I remember that like to write a two-page letter, sometimes I'm stuck like hours and oh my God. And today I just go to ChatGPT. I said, can you write a letter to this person explaining this, and this, blah, blah, blah. Then I press a button and it's done. It used to take me lots of hours, sometime in the day, and I haven't finished. So AI is really powerful when it comes to business if you know how to use it, if you know the tools out there, if you know the validated. Not all are good, like I explained. So it can make a huge difference for the business
That's
in
right.
terms
That's right.
of help them to get ahead into the marketplace. So, what message do you have from people out there that they say, well, this AI is not my thing, I know a little bit about it. I don't want to know more about it. I know how to use two, three things about with ChatGPT, and that's I know how to write a letter in ChatGPT, and that's
Yeah.
all I need. So, what message do you have for these people, for these
It's
entrepreneurs,
funny because like,
for those entrepreneurs?
you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that I just had my wife when my wife was trying to write a document for something and I just taught her how to use ChatGPT, like to actually use it to write this document. She had to write several documents. She also kind of had the same uh perspective, like, oh, why do I need to use it? And and this is just behavior change is actually really, really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Typically technology is not the thing that holds us back. It's actually our own existing behavior and our lack of desire to change as we get older. So, um, what I would say to them is that in order for you to catch up with everyone else to have the same amount of productivity, you definitely need to start at least experimenting and testing and using it. And any kind of letter or any kind of brainstorm or any kind of thought that you might have that you want to iterate on, ChatGPT could do that and just kind of start start doing that. And it saved my wife like hours. Like she was like literally spending like 4 hours trying to write this document. But then when I like kind of showed her ChatGPT, she was able to do it within like 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
So it was like absolutely amazing. So it is really important. So now the challenge with ChatGPT now today is that it is still relatively inaccessible, meaning that you need to know how to write the prompts and you know how to like how to work it. It's not as easy as it could be, so it's still a work in progress. There's also a lot of like tips and tricks that you need to know. So for example, ChatGPT O1 just came out, and it's like, people typically don't have the time to learn all the different tricks
Wow.
and everything about the new version of ChatGPT. So what we've done at Hermesi is we have a innovation team. Basically, what the innovation team does is any new technology, any new AI comes out, we then go in and do all the testing, all the trial and error, and everything for
Wow.
you. And then we teach the EAs. We then teach our EAs so that they understand and they know how this new ChatGPT O1, which is the new version that just came out. Okay, so what are the things that we can do to basically help the exec do a lot more better at it? And so there's this big arbitrage that's existing right now, and that arbitrage is widening. People who are using ChatGPT and technology and learning it and being at the cutting edge, and then people who are not using it at all. And so that gap is going to continue to widen for a while. And so our role is to make sure that our execs are at the very, very top at that cutting edge. And so the other thing about what we know is a lot of execs have very specific playbooks that they do. I'll give you a good example. Um, Most execs go in on their email and look through their email box to go through their email. Another typical process or workflow is they will go on LinkedIn and reach out to a certain number of people and then try to generate conversations and leads and sales. Another one is like they will write some kind of post and they'll post it on social media. So what we've done is we've taken these processes and we call them playbooks. And we take these workflows and we look at them step by step. And then we then apply AI and technology on that workflow
Mhm.
and use tools to make that workflow go as fast as possible, be
Wow.
as efficient as possible.
Combining all together, right? Wow.
Well, combining AI, combining human EA, combining other tools, and then once and my innovation team basically constantly reviews this and looks at what new tools can help you do that job. So, for example, like social media posting, you might have an idea of a concept of a post, you have it in bullets, then we use a combination of AI and other scheduling tools to help schedule it not just on one platform, but on all platforms and
Mhm.
reform it automatically, not just for LinkedIn, but also for Twitter and also for Facebook. But each of those have different formats, right? They have different writing. So we've created this playbook that automatically does all of that with AI in combination with a human in the loop to make sure that the quality is there and it doesn't sound too AI. So so our advantage is that we're continually updating these workflows so that you are operating at the most fastest speed. And so therefore, maybe for social posts, you're not posting once a week, you can post 7 times a week. And when it comes to social media, like it needs to be really, really amazing content and it needs to have high frequency.
Mhm.
And so you're able to do all that without you not doing that much. You're doing very little work. And that applies across everything, across lead generation, across administrative tasks, and it's across like taxes, all the stuff that you just don't like to do that you want to do in your zone of genius. We basically automate that with a human being in there to automate it for you.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's amazing. So, Hoyin, if someone our listeners are interested in these productivity tools and the research you guys are doing to make this virtual executive for the
Assistant.
companies very productive. So, how they can find you and how the process work?
So they can find me on hermesi.com, which I can show you in the show notes. And also you can look at my LinkedIn profile as well. I have a lot of content that I'm pumping out about productivity and about leadership and how to do entrepreneurship. So, and I post like, 5 to 6 times a week with
Wow.
amazing content. So you can take a look at it as well.
Wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic. So, um, you have been a tech entrepreneur for a while. So, what would be your biggest challenge creating the latest company, and how do you overcome that challenge?
So right now, the latest challenge I'm at right now is getting leads and getting business. And so now I've overcome that challenge by creating a system um, that I produce social media content that basically engages people and engages the
Oh,
right people that I have, and then I can go and reach out to them on LinkedIn. That's one. And number two is I had to learn from the ground up how to do proper outreach, cold email and cold call. Because in my specific space, there's just a lot of it's a saturated and competitive space, even though we're very differentiated, but we still have to have a really good marketing channel. And so I had to learn from the ground up how to do those two things.
hmm. And then but the good thing about the technology and AI is that you can measure everything. You can measure, but the how huge, how do you think that the companies that use the selection of AI software that you guys are proposing to increase the productivity, which we can call increase the productivity 360 of the company, yeah, it give us an idea how much money they can save and how ahead they can be of the competition if they engage and allow themselves to bring these productivity tools to help them to grow the business.
Yeah, so right now we provide like executive assistance on a monthly basis. So you pay us on a monthly basis. So an executive assistant, if you were to, the average price for an executive assistant in person in the United States, it's around about $67,000, $70,000 a year. And that is average. So if you're in a city, it's going to be, or close to a city, it's going to be even higher than that. It's going to be like 100K plus. And that's a fully loaded cost. That includes insurance, that includes benefits, includes everything. Our pricing is just anywhere between $20,000 to $36,000. So it's more than 50% savings
Wow.
than having someone in person. More than 50% savings. So given this very uncertain economic environment, you want to take your dollar and stretch it further. And so we are the number one most efficient way. Basically, not only are we 50%, minimum 50% cheaper, but we're at least 3x more productive. So it's cheaper and even more productive.
Yeah, exactly.
With our tools.
Huge value,
So there's a huge amount of value. We work with a lot of execs that
you actually giving a
just,
human being, right? You're giving them a human
yeah,
being.
yeah.
You're giving like a machine that will
Yep.
do everything. It's just a
No.
person talk that will use your software to actually help out to improve the company, correct?
That's correct. We believe that, yes, AI is great, just technology, but it's not at the point where it's going to replace a human being. It's going to be adding the value that a productivity of a person. And right now with AI, I believe that's probably going to be the trend for definitely the foreseeable future. But our goal is that to provide a human being. Now, the reason why is because these virtual executive assistants, what we do is we increasingly help them to focus on human relationships, managing people. And some of the most basic work, eventually AI will do those things, right? Let's say it's booking calendar meetings, whatever. AI is eventually going to do that. But managing human relationships and dealing with humans, that's something that AI may or may not be able to do in the long term. And so we train them to increasingly focus on the social side of the job, the project management, the leadership, the executive function, that type of thing. And AI currently right now, I don't believe can really do that, but it can complement that. But it won't be able to replace it. And so that's what our goal is.
You need a human being. You need a facilitator because, like we discussed before, every particular company can have particular needs, and maybe having a human being there can source what a specific need and actually can check the software that you guys have, or can actually find a new one that will improve this particular aspect of the company. So, Hoyin,
That's
has been a very great interview. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. I really appreciate it. And for all of you following the Unstoppable podcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how a brave entrepreneur like Hoyin break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.